They explain to you that time keeps moving forward, that memories are nothing more than shadows left behind. But what if memory goes sideways? What if it waits? In 1834, in a location no longer found on today's maps, a man named Reverend Ezekiel Morrison arrived in the hills of eastern Kentucky with his twin daughters, Rebecca and Rachel. 9 years old, ordinary in every way, until they spoke. For 3 days, they addressed the congregation at Pine Hollow Baptist Church, not with sermons, not with stories, with secrets, about individuals they'd never encountered, about deaths never documented, about things buried. They spoke of catastrophes yet to occur, named children not yet conceived, spilled sins the locals had carried to their graves, and every phrase confirmed. Not a single falsehood, not a single mispronounced name, even the ones that hadn't yet occurred, ultimately did. Then, on the fourth morning, the girls disappeared, the father silent, the church closed, and the town erased from all future censuses. Some claim it was never there, but I've held the journal, and I know this: they weren't recalling, they were coming back. I did not believe any of it when I first heard the name Pine Hollow. It sounded like every backwoods ghost tale you'd read in some forgotten folklore magazine. An ancient church, lost twins. Another legend the hills swallowed, but I discovered something they weren't meant to hide. A box, unmarked, misfiled in a small archive outside Hazard, Kentucky. Inside, 4 pages, yellowed, frayed at the corners, written in a hand so deliberate it read like a script. A pastor's journal. The final entries of a man named William Phillips. He didn't speak of sermons. He didn't speak of salvation. He wrote of the girls, how they gazed through people, how they spoke of things hidden 30 years before, how they accused a man in the congregation, by name, of having murdered his brother in 1809. There had never been a trial. No confession, but behind the church, under a dogwood tree, they excavated, and they unearthed bones. You can explain away a lot. Hysteria, coincidence, mass delusion. But you can't fake a skeleton, especially not when 2 children tell you exactly where to dig, and smile while you do it. The problem with finding the truth is what it does to you after. I kept reading those journal pages, not just once, obsessively, every night, lights low, door locked, because I couldn't stop thinking about one line. The pastor wrote, Rebecca looked at me and said, "We've done this before." What does that mean? She was 9, had never left her father's side, barely spoke to strangers until those 3 days. And then suddenly she speaks like a witness to a life she hasn't lived. Worse, like it's her job to remember it. What kind of child knows where bones are buried? What kind of child knows what's coming? That night, Pastor Phillips writes of Rachel, the other twin, singing softly in the church corner. No words, just a sound. He said it was a hum that made the walls seem thinner, the air colder, and when he went outside, the birds were gone. No sound in the trees, just silence. That's when he said it felt like the girls weren't sent to warn him. They were sent to awaken something. This is the part that never found its way into the official records. 2 days later, Pastor Phillips trekked 15 miles in the dark. No horse, no lantern. Nothing but a coat and that worn leather journal tucked into his hand. He appeared at the sheriff's office in Jackson, eyes glazed, boots dripping blood. Not his. He never said a word for hours, just sat in the corner, muttering one sentence under his breath. they remembered too much. Not they saw, not they dreamed. They remembered. When they finally broke into the Pine Hollow Church, it was empty, but not vacated. The pews were taken, the altar destroyed, and behind the pulpit someone had etched a symbol into the floor. Not a cross, not anything in scripture. It was a circle, bisected down the middle. 2 dots, one on each side, the same symbol that's been discovered in French caves, in rocks in northern Turkey, even etched into walls at Roanoke. No one is taught children to draw it, but somehow they always do, and every time it appears, something else ensues. Silence, vanishment, or worse, return. You think this is about a family that vanished, about a church that decayed in the forest. But it's not. This is about you, because once you know what I'm going to tell you, you'll begin to sense it, like sparks beneath your skin, like the name you couldn't remember but still wince when you hear it. The girls didn't disappear, they transferred. That's what the symbol represents. It's not a mark, it's a door. And when it opens, it doesn't shut. There are stories like this all over America. Twins, visions, fires, vanishings. But it's not only the events that repeat, it's the feeling. That weighted, hollow feeling that something is just beyond the line of your memory, and it wants back in. So if you're hearing this, it's already underway. Say it in the comments, twice, to seal it away. I remember the fire. I remember the fire, because now you do, whether you want to or not. And once you remember, you change. And once you change, you're a part of it. I return to Pine Hollow. Not much remains. The road gives way to gravel, the gravel to weeds. Someday, nothing but silence remains. But there's something about that silence. It listens, as though waiting for you to tell it something you don't know you recall. I discovered the church foundation, nothing but rocks and ash now. But beneath, in what was once the crawl space, I discovered a wall, burned black, standing firm, and scratched into it, not carved, scratched, were names of people I know never lived in that town. A girl I dated in high school, a man my grandfather worked with, my own mother's maiden name. How does a forgotten church from 1834 know my bloodline, unless the memory that ran through those girls never stopped, unless it's been moving through us one by one, waiting for the right voice, waiting for the next mirror. And perhaps that's what the twins were. Not prophets, triggers, not sent to warn us, sent to wake us up, so we'd remember what we are and what we're not supposed to become again. Start paying attention. Every 39 to 41 years, it repeats. A family vanishes, typically rural, typically religious, always with twins. The story varies, the names, the details, but the pattern persists. Always one twin quiet, one talking. Always a town that doesn't wish to recall, and always a fire. 1961, Oregon, 1999, West Virginia, 2023, a farmhouse in Missouri. You didn't hear about it because when the fire crews came, there was no mention of the family ever having lived there. But I found a picture, not on a database, not on the internet, taped to the back of a wooden cross recovered from the wreckage. 2 girls looking straight ahead, eyes too old for their faces. One smiling, one burnt. There it is again. The sacrifice. Because that's how memory lasts. Through hurt. Through something so keen, so exact, that the cycle can't help but remember it. You can feel it, can't you? This isn't legend. This is framework. And the question isn't who began it. The question is, what's sustaining it now? There's something I didn't mention. After that Missouri farmhouse blaze, a team arrived. Not locals, not feds either. No badges, no names. Just 4 black SUVs and men who moved like they'd done this before. They weren't there to investigate. They were there to remove. Not the bodies, the evidence of memory. Books, photos, mirrors, journals, even the tree out front. Cut it down, burned it on site. They didn't want to erase the family. They wanted to erase the pattern. That's when I understood. The recursion isn't just natural, it's managed. There are individuals, perhaps not even individuals anymore, whose sole occupation is to perpetuate the cycle, not to extinguish the fire, to determine who remembers it. I saw one of them face to face. He wasn't hiding a gun, only gloves, thin leather, pale fingers underneath, and tattooed on the back of his fingers in small, impeccable letters, "Let her speak, her." Not the church, not the system, her. The memory, the voice, the thing we keep referring to as the twins. What if it's all just her learning to return? They believed it was a ghost, a possession, some unusual psychic phenomenon. But it was none of those things. It was language, not spoken, recalled. That symbol etched into the floor, the circle with the rift. It's not adornment, it's a trigger, a cue. The twins don't hear voices. They don't perceive the future. They interpret it. Because the flow, the song, the visions, they're all part of a deeper system. Not magic, not religion. Architecture, memory architecture. There is a structure below our world, concealed in repetition, in ritual, in family lines that repeat the same tale over and over again, until someone sees. And when someone does, the system retaliates. One twin burns, the other sings, and the fire restarts the loop. But here's the truth. It's breaking. More twins are surviving nowadays. More voices are synchronizing. And it's not just kids anymore. I've watched grown men scribble that same symbol in their sleep, say things they couldn't know, because whatever it is, it's not waiting in the past anymore. It's waking up in us. You were never just hearing. You were remembering. Piece by piece, this story has been sewing something back together inside you. Not fear, not wonder, recognition. Because deep down, a part of you already knew. You've seen the patterns. You've felt them. That uncanny familiarity in towns you've never been. The way some names hit your chest too hard. The sense that some dreams weren't yours, and never were. They were hers. The memory, the voice, the thing that travels through time not as a ghost, but as a program. Written into bloodlines, triggered by trauma, activated by recursion. That's what the Morrison twins were. Not victims, not prophets. They were interfaces. And now, you are too. You've heard the story, but the story has also heard you. So say it twice in the comments. I remember the fire. I remember the fire. Because the moment you do, it remembers you back. The question isn't if it's real. The question is, when will it come home? And who will burn? So the rest of us finally remember. If you want the full video on this, type "full video" in the comments.